So in this video, we are just trying to use our intuition of things that we may already know about. That way, before we get too involved with the actual math and equation behind the data that we're looking at, that we know if it's going to make sense to us as well. So we're looking at a few examples that you probably would have some gut instincts, and some of these are ones that we already talked about as well, but not in as much detail here. So we want to see what will happen to a student's overall percentage in the class as they miss more classes. So we're looking at our two quantitative variables as being the student's overall percentage in the class and then the number of classes that they miss. So first, think about which one would be our x and which one would be our y. Well, y is the one that we're actually really interested in knowing, which is going to be the student's percentage in the class. What we think might explain their percentage in the class is how many classes that they miss. So as I move to the right here, students would be missing more classes. So as students miss more classes, what would you expect to happen to their grade? Well, I probably would expect their grade to go down as they miss more classes. So let's just write that out in words if you're not a picture person here as well. So I would expect a student's score percentage to decrease as they miss more classes. So just using what we know about the context here of this question, what that's going to mean here for me is really I'm going to expect to see a negative slope for this question. And then if I don't, that makes me maybe want to go back and question the data I was looking at. I would already expect to see this negative slope. For example 2, we're trying to see how much money I expect to make after I've been at a company for a longer time frame. So what we're looking at is your salary and how many years you've been at the company. So salary is probably our real variable we're interested in, so it's going to be our response variable or our y. And the number of years at the company is going to be our explanatory variable or our x. So as I've been at the company for more years, so as I move to the right, what would I expect to happen to my salary? Well, I would at least expect my salary to probably increase as I've been at the company longer. I sure wouldn't expect my salary to go down as I've been there longer. So I'm going to expect to make more money the longer I'm at the company. Then what kind of slope would I be expecting? Well, I'd be expecting then a positive slope for this example. Finally, let's talk about the example looking at houses and looking at how square footage might influence the price. So if I buy a bigger house that has more square footage, how would I expect that to affect my price? So probably not too shocking. Price is going to be our response variable, our y. And the square footage is going to be our explanatory variable, or our x. So as I move to the right here, my houses are getting bigger. So what would I expect to see happen as a house gets bigger? Well, again, I probably expect that the price is going to increase. So I would expect larger houses to have a larger price. So what we're seeing there, as one goes up, we would also expect the other one to go up, which means that we're expecting here a positive slope. Now again, keep in mind right now we're just thinking about what kind of trend we would expect to see. This does not mean that I'm saying here that if a house is bigger than another house, it's guaranteed to have a higher price. Again, what I'm expecting to see is a trend if I look at all houses. So I'm not saying each individual pair of houses that the larger house would always have the higher price. But this is still the trend I would expect to see. So then when I look at a scatter plot, if I have an idea of what trend I would expect to see and I don't see that trend, it might make me question what's going on. So then our next goal is to dive into doing regression by actually looking at the equation of a line. So we'll dive into that in the next video.